Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Yours truly, Joey Jones, is an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. What I do know is I completely fried my Marshall Silver Jubilee last night. Fried in the literal sense. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't even turn on anymore. And now I'm sitting here and eating plum tart to choke down my sorrow because I 100% killed a vintage Marshall. Here's the story. So last night, I wanted to start the video that I promised you guys, the one about what is the perfect IR for your Marshall amp. And therefore, I plugged in the Marshall, thought I had it connected to the load box because I don't have a speaker in here. It is just connected to my load box. And then I run it usually out of the load box into my interface, and that's where I load up the IRs, either on the computer or I have the IRs in my load box. Both is possible. So I fired up the Marshall and I couldn't get a sound out of it. It was working though. So as you would usually do, you start to troubleshoot, right? And I went through the cable, the pedal board right in front of me. Is there some wrong cabling or anything? Check my interface over there, check if everything is routed correctly, all these different things. For minutes, I couldn't get a sound out of it, but it was turned on and the master volume was almost dying because that is my usual setting. I'm using a low box. I kept playing signal through, but didn't hear anything. And I'm like, what is wrong? Why does this Marshall not work? And while I'm thinking that, my Marshall makes this kind of noise. And that was it. It was turned off. So I walk over, check what the issue is, and I see I didn't connect it to a load box. Let's reiterate that. For almost 10 minutes, I played through a fully dialed Marshall without a load connected to it. Clearly, I don't know what I'm doing, right? So obviously the video about the perfect IR for your Marshall has to wait a little bit because my Silver Jubilee does not turn on anymore. It's dead. And I'm no electrician, and I don't have any of the tools to check any of these things. I can't check if any fuse is blown or anything like that. I have no idea. Maybe you guys have an idea what it could be. Let me know in the comments. But from the research that I did, it could be two things. Either I just blew a fuse. That would be best case scenario because replacing a fuse is not a big issue. It's however likely from what I have read that I blew the output transformer, in which case I have completely killed this amp. Because I might be able to find a replacement for that output transformer, but first of all, expensive. Second of all, I won't find another Drake output transformer, the ones that were used back in '87. So I feel incredibly guilty that I killed a vintage Marshall, an all original Marshall, by the way. And there's two interesting things about that whole situation. First off, I was always that kind of guy who never understood how you could potentially kill your amp by not plugging it into a cabinet or forgetting to plug it into your load box or whatever you have. I was always the kind of guy who said, oh, how can you forget that? Like, sure, that's how you could blow up an amp, but nobody's ever gonna do that, right? Look at me. The essence of everything that I have done musically in the past is basically this Marshall amp. It is on all the songs that you have heard me play on, like the Shady Bell songs, Rise Again and The Edge. It's on so many different Instagram reels. A lot of things that I played here on YouTube. I played with the Silver Jubilee. That's the first interesting thing. But the second thing is, I was actually on the fence of selling that Jubilee for, I don't know, maybe a year or so. I've been considering selling the Silver Jubilee because my workflow is so digital and I'm so happy with all the digital stuff that I have, the Kemper and the pedals that I use, that at some point I was thinking, I'm not play much live these days. Do I even need my Silver Jubilee anymore? And I kept asking myself if my heart is actually still in it. And I wasn't sure about that. But then last night, when I realized what I had done, my heart started bleeding. In that second, I just knew this amp is way too important to me to ever sell it. And if I completely ruined the resale value with my dumb move from yesterday, so be it. Then that's my fate, and I'll take that. But I can never sell this amp because I'm literally heartbroken. Like, I'm a little bit dramatic about it, you can probably tell. But the thing is, in an interesting way, blowing it up actually made me realize how much I love that thing. You wouldn't even believe, since yesterday, I went up to the amp 5 times and checked if it would magically turn on again, just because I couldn't believe it doesn't turn on again. I can't believe it's dead, you know? I'm like, please, maybe you just needed a minute and now you'll turn on again, but it doesn't. No. So I'm in deep sorrow, which is why I'm down in plum cake, plum tart, whatever the right word for that is. It's delicious, but it doesn't help me get over it, you know? What actually would help me to get over it is some advice. Of course, I need to bring it to like a tech guy. I'm not an electrician. I don't know anything about these things. I can't do anything, so I have to bring it to a technician probably tomorrow or so. But what would help me is to hear your stories, just so I don't feel like the only idiot on the planet who's ever done that. Hopefully you have a similar story and can share it in the comments, because right now I just feel stupid. Let me know your blown up amp stories, and maybe I'll get over it and I'll keep you updated what happens with my Silver Jubilee. Write some comments, well wishes for my Silver Jubilee. Maybe it helps, maybe it's not completely destroyed, and hopefully it's just the fuse. If it's the output transformer, then rest in peace, Silver Jubilee. You will never be the same again. Don't want to be overly dramatic, but I mean, if you change the output transformer, like if you're changing a Drake transformer and putting in something else, it will never sound exactly the same. And I feel like my Marshall sounded very special anyway. And with a new transformer, I mean, we know a lot of the sound isn't the output transformer, and the weight is totally overpowered, which is why they sound so good, which is why they are so loud, which is why they are so visceral. Anyway, I don't want to speculate. I just needed to vent off a little bit. That's not a woe is me kind of thing or anything, but I just needed to vent, and I hope you understand, and keep watching my stuff even though I don't know what I'm doing. See you in the next one.